How's it going? We're gonna wait a couple minutes, see if anybody pops in. Don't worry. Y'all ain't missing nothing. This wasn't exactly planned. There's the notifications now. Let's see if old Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and all them decide to play nice today. Today is August 19th, 2023. Chris and I decided, because we didn't really have any guests lined up, that we'd take some time to take a little break. Hello, Rocks. I don't believe I've seen you in here before. Anyway, everybody's welcome. Come on in. As I was saying, Chris and I decided to take a little break this weekend from the main show so we can kind of recharge and, cool off before we start trying to kill each other. Joking, of course. I'm new. Seen you here and there. Ah, all right. Well, welcome aboard. We're trying to make it as welcoming for everybody as possible. I'm doing okay. We're just thought we'd have a little chat. See how everybody's doing, especially with all this craziness going on in the world, right? I mean, in 2023, the year of conspiracy. Because what one hasn't been fucking proven true to some extent at this point, am I right? I mean, like the fires down in Lanahai. He had done it towards Maui, I should say, so I don't accidentally mispronounce something. Yeah, you would think conspiracy sides would be all over the claims of the direct energy weapons, but the more you actually look at the situation and the stories coming out from the people who've been affected, the harder it is to kind of deny something's up. I mean, hell, somebody was posting something in a Telegram group I was in that there's a few more states that are being targeted. I have to question legitimacy because there's not really a source quoted or anything like that in some place I never really heard of to begin with. But knowing what I know is that several of the states that were mentioned, just off the top of my head, was that Texas, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, where I live. We're all going to be targeted by similar attacks. Now, of course, like I said, I had to question it because just about every state on that list, there's a few more, is known to have wildfires this time of year. I mean, here in Idaho, we're fairly used to having wildfires get so bad, we're calling in fire teams from all over the country. I mean, hell, I remember a few years back where my mom was getting on giddy because the Alaska fire crews were coming down to help out with some of the fires we had down here. And apparently they're the ones that do the Firemen of the Month calendars. So, anyway, hello, John Morris. How are you? Yeah, Rocks Rachel, yes. Unfortunately, this has to be a new beginning because when you really think about it, there's always insanity going about. So I'm just reading the chat here. Kind of wish we can get something just to play it on the screen as we're doing the show. How's it going, Dots? No. No need to fear. That's a easy one to say. I'll necessarily fear for myself. I fully expect I'm not going to be amongst the land of the living for long. fear for the loved ones, you know? Make sure they're doing okay and all that. But hey, all sorts of fun stuff coming up. So some of you may actually know, if you stalk some of our social media pages, that we just put out a book today. Yes, indeed. You probably heard me talk about, putting together a course that helps people get started in podcasting, how to do it without breaking the bank. Divulge some of the secrets that we use for the Bald and Bonkers show to help get us out everywhere. Well, we had to adjust some things for the actual course, but in the end, it's actually going to, what actually came to fruition out of it is going to do a lot more and help the company achieve a lot more of what it wants to in the long run. So, link is in the chat. You want to check it out. It's called Maximize Your Podcast for Low Costs, whether or not you already have a show or you're wanting to start one out, just not sure how to go about it. You can check that out. They'll give you some useful tips. And if you read through all the way and pay attention to the very last section, it's going to give you some passcodes. All right. One of these will give you access to free video lessons if you're a more visual learner. And these lessons are actually hosted on the up and coming brand new streaming service coming from Bald and Bonkers. Yeah. We're going to have our own streaming service. In fact, I want to go ahead and pull that up for you. It's currently in the works. There's a few things now. Oh, hey. Hello, Olivia Grace. Welcome aboard. Didn't know that this fucking thing would do that. I like that. Keep your mind like the child. It's a good thought. Anyway, and that's not wanting to load right now. Fucking figures. But yes, as some of you know, we actually have an online TV network we allow anybody to syndicate themselves through. We have Typical Skeptic Podcast, who's started linking up with us, as well as the fuck? Sorry, I'm just reading some of the chats. You trying to put a spell on me? Someone in Russian. Oh no! By the way, do you have have you made some custom stuff for your channel? Okay, there's a lot of new people coming in from the Twitch side I have never seen before. How you doing? Sorry, my Russian's not that good. Barely have a decent grip on English most days. Anyway, as I was saying, you can head over to the Bald and Bonkers website and you can actually see our online TV network, which Are you that egg from the cartoon? What? You talking good at that, ma? So he's a cracked egg, you motherfucker. Are you from the secret society? I wish. If I really was from a secret society, Russian government tracking go, hello, Vladimir! Okay. All sorts of random ass questions coming in from the Twitch side. My goodness. Puss in. Oh, you're calling me Humpty Dumpty. Woo. Nice observation there, Sherlock. You wonder why. Hello. Sorry, like I said, for everybody else is wondering what the hell is Dakota rambling off about, there's a bunch of new people I haven't seen before on the Twitch side, so feel free to subscribe. We have all sorts of open translator. Is there a translator option on this? They're trying to send me secret messages. Anyway, I feel like I should probably hide the chat so I can actually focus on what the fuck I'm doing. So anyway, I was going to show you guys the TV network. So we do have a little sign-up form that you can easily just fill out. That way it gives us a little bit of idea of the type of shows you put together. Here's what we have here. We have some of the old episodes. Looks like we have Ghost Squad Scotland on right now. We also have Para Unity TV. Switch over. We host gaming videos. We got music, movies, Civilian Disclosure Project TV, and looks like I need to go in and fix that. Ugh. We're also going to have a couple of new channels coming up. Academy TV, for those of you who pay attention to the new book we just released. It'll tell you how to get on there as well. Let's learn Russian like Dizzy. Yeah. I've always wanted to learn Russian. Yeah. Russian women, very beautiful. I'll say that. And a lot of people thinking I'm one of those little AI bots from TikTok. Anyway, we have Bonkers TV, which I just showed you, which offers a 24/7 stream of just constant content. For those of you who decide to link up with it, it'll actually help you increase your audience. You can advertise whatever you want. I honestly don't care. You don't have to share any of my logos or anything like that. This is just something to just kind of help increase everybody's audiences. With Bonkers TV Plus, this is going to be our own streaming service, and we already have a partner lined up to help us license some content, but we'll also be looking for submissions from the audience. And once things are settled, we may, keyword, may. We may actually be able to offer up free channels on Bonkers TV Plus to allow those of you who have issues with constantly getting your asses kicked off of YouTube, an alternate place to host your videos. You'll also be able to link up your own advertising, if I'm understanding things correctly. You know, create it, make it your own space as much as possible. You probably heard some of the last broadcasts I've done, as well as a couple of interviews I've been on, that the plan is to expand to Roku. That plan is still in action. We're going to look into combining the both forms of Bonkers TV, so that way it provides maximum exposure. There's even going to be a channel on regular Bonkers TV that will that basically show little previews of what's all available exclusively on Bonkers TV Plus. Sorry, I'm just reading over the chat, and I'm not trusting any of those links. Sorry, don't want to get any viruses on my computer. I feel like I'm being set up for a trap. Oh, damn Russians. They know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, I feel like those links that you're trying to post in the chat are ones my antivirus will probably block, just to be completely honest. All right, I'll take a look at it later, maybe. See, my vision was about 14 months ago, so we had about 2 years left and about 10 months to. Well, so that one certainly seems to track now, doesn't it? It's Russian Google Yandex. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Well, like I said, everything going on in the world, you don't know what the hell to trust no more. You can trust me. I try to admit when I do something stupid. But you know what? There's actually a good point there, Rox. And that's something I wanted to do because, quite frankly, wanted to do with this company because, let's face it, how much of what has transpired over the last few years alone is something we all thought we would experience in this lifetime. I mean, there's a lot of people that go online saying how the governments are announcing aliens are real, but nobody seems to care. Well, it was kind of the point by pushing inflation on all of us to where our needs for survival would override the need to look into any of that when you really think about it. But in the same light, with all this insanity, it also goes to prove that nothing is truly impossible. And now is probably the best time to try to pursue your dreams. Because let's face it, we got the writer's strike going on right now that shut down a majority of Hollywood studios. There's still a few that aren't part of the big group that's being protested against that are still making movies. So, and Bald and Bonkers is actually a stockholder in one of them. So, September 1st, go see Nandor Flandor in the Talking Mongoose. There's your plug, Legion. Let's see. Can't deny my visions. They've always. Yeah. But you also gotta be careful, Rox, because in that same light, I dealt with visions for most of my life too. Even wrote a book series back in high school that was meant to be kind of a science fiction series, but it was based on how I understood everything at the time. And a lot of events that I worked into that series have actually come to fruition, and some rather nasty ones at that. Now, unfortunately, in my case, when the vision stopped, it meant I was going to get a stab through the heart. So, right as everything that I've been pushing for comes into fruition too. So, that's another story for another time. I don't want to, there's already so much going on right now, that, bumming everybody out that, we need to have more happy times. And you know what? There's a lot of people that do feel a disconnect. And that disconnect can lead to some rather downward violence and obsessive downward spirals that can be hard to recover from. One thing I've never really understood is how much many of us talk about wanting to accept, ETs, these beings from higher densities, dimensions, realities, whatever terms you want to use. I know there's certain ways it actually is, and there's a lot of misconceptions, but I'm just generalizing it. How can we say we're going to be accepting of these higher beings when we can't necessarily be bothered or handle 2D projections on devices we all carry around in our pockets? Honestly, we suck when it comes to actually trying to get to know each other, asking questions, why certain things have been going on. So some of us may have been protected. Some of us may be protected from some nasty shit. Some others aren't. But isn't the whole point to try to elevate as many of us as possible? Honestly, how can we do that if we all just assume that everything we see on these screens is everything that there is to the human experience? It's just something that's been on my mind lately, especially with the number of people that got upset over a Ouija board and instead of the people trying to justify a child being raped. Yeah. I tend to lose my faith in major groups when I see shit like that. And then it seems like there is a dismissive quality to where people try to say, they don't want that energy messing with them. How many people who've gone on these, downward spirals I mentioned before, how many of them could have been saved with just a small bit of compassion? Somebody willing to step up and say, dude, knock your crap off, or you're gonna regret your life's choices. There's a lot of us that believe that that love should enable this type of behavior. That a love for another human being means not letting them, not questioning their choices. For fuck's sake, if someone in your life who you care for is doing something you believe might be dangerous, say, hey, just step up and express your concerns. See how much, they've actually thought certain things through. Because they may need someone to point that out. Who knows? I mean, as John Morris says here, we should live and care for all life in the universe, especially intelligent life, for all forms is made from source God and part of source God. We are actually one. Exactly. What happened to the days where we would do everything to make sure children weren't affected, weren't hurt? Yeah, I'm not talking about wrapping them all in bubble wrap. Kids are going to get hurt. Kids are going to get sick. It's part of life. And unfortunately, no matter what position we may be on, conflict of some form will always exist because conflict is what breeds evolution. We need conflict to understand our position, understand our potential. And sometimes we got to we have to have the strength to help others bear their load. Now, obviously, if they come to be the type that fully expects someone to come to the rescue for them, and you might need to step back and let them have their ass kicked. True potential is out there. Universe, source, God, whatever name you want to give it. it's I fully believe the reason why sentient life is created from Source is that Source wants to learn more about itself. It does. It wants to see the potentials of what it can do. And sometimes, just like if the body catches an illness or we cut ourselves, other parts of the body usually have to step in, help heal, help fill the void. Chaos always, there will always be chaos. Our friends from upstairs, they might seem like they have it all together, but that's because they've already had our shit figured out. And unfortunately, they have to let us kick our own asses to realize our true potential. Because just like the relative or someone who constantly expects someone to come to their rescue, they're not going to learn the lessons they need to make sure certain things don't happen again. And it doesn't have to, and life doesn't have to be working the 9 to 5 and toughing out a marriage or figuring out how to get away from an abuser. There's ways you can affect people without ever physically knowing them. And you can just tell your story, you know? And yeah, there's gonna be people that try to tear you down, that are going to look for the smallest thing they find wrong with you to try to paint you in a negative light. But if anything, that's a sign that you're doing something right. I mean, hell, I was thinking around on TikTok earlier, and there was this little guy named Kevin, absolutely heartbroken. He can even be more than 10 years old. I just barely came across it. He was just absolutely heartbroken. A little kid who has some form of condition where too much physical activity puts him at risk. Sounds like something along the lines of brittle bone disease. I'm not 100% sure. There's random strangers trying to get him banned off of social media. Kid's not doing anything wrong. He's just trying to live his life. And it reminds me of a friend of mine who passed away not too long ago. Some of you may have heard me talk about the story a little bit. And it's something that has been on my mind lately because that friend of mine, she was only like 22 years old. She left behind a 2-year-old little boy. And her husband, from what I understand about the guy, he managed to flip his life around. He got himself involved in drugs, but he managed to flip his life around. And he completely changed my friend's life. She was ready to give up. She had an abusive husband. I mean, this guy was a fucking dick, wishing she was dead. Now, mind you, the reason why my friend died was because she was due to complications from MS. MS, and she also had 2 strokes. She was pretty rattled. She still ended up giving birth to a good-looking young man. And in her final days, I can't remember the name of the charity that was helping him out, but it's like Make-A-Wish for adults. This charity was helping her, go to like Disneyland and go to like Grand Canyon, go to see all these different places so she can have memories with her son. Why is it that the people who are honestly You don't scratch that. It should say something that the people who see the most potential in the world are often the ones who just had their asses kicked for no good reason. The people that we need to learn from the most. And maybe that's why, we see all this chaos. And yeah, it's going to burn some things so deep into us that it affects our DNA. It's been proven. They say we inherit our grandparents' traumas. Maybe this is a sign that all this chaos that we have going on right now is a sign that we actually need to start coming together. Not just sharing things out and wanting to stir up things on social media, because right now, the people that want to truly control us aren't hiding themselves anymore. They're willing to burn people alive. Not even make an attempt to mask their actions as some sort of natural phenomenon. I mean, everybody's freaking out about this Fire and Fury book that came out 2 days after the fire started in Maui. Honestly, that looks like some sort of piss poor chat GPT written book. Nothing truly substantial behind that one. Someone trying to make a profit off of genuine tragedy that is affecting a lot more people. If my home state gets affected here in Idaho, there's 2 spots I feel are going to be targets of these direct energy weapons if the pattern continues. They're saying that there's human trafficking related issues. There's the smart city that they're trying to convert Lana High to. I mean, what is that? When's that conference supposed to take place in January? Of how a smart city would be so great and all this. I mean, where was the alarms to get people out of there? Why are resources to help the victims being pulled out? It's time for a fucking revolution. Not social media keyboard warriors. It's going to get chaotic, ladies and gentlemen. Let's stop looking for excuses to try to take each other out, but stand with each other. That's what's going to define us. Not the fact that we had obstacles, but how we overcome them. Exactly, John. They turned off water. The police barred people from evacuating. No alarms, barely electricity. We're wanting to point fingers on social media. Now, granted, if someone's being a legitimate asshole and like threatening people and shows potentially violent tendencies, absolutely confront it. Sometimes people need an ass kicking to realize what it is they're becoming. But in the same light, we shouldn't be so eager. Because the one thing that's going to make these people responsible for all of this going on truly tremble is when they see people actually coming together, regardless of race, sexuality, gender identification, gender. what have you. There's a politician, I can't remember the name, is that in the interest of fighting the tyranny of the majority, we have created the tyranny of the minority. And it also, in the same light, the minority are milking the fact that they portrayed themselves as victims. And it's a system that's crumbling. Yeah. The system's going to have to crumble. Be sure to show the people around you some kindness, even if they're absolute dickheads. You know, I'll even say this to an individual who reached out to a dear friend of mine to address some concerns. I want to thank you, truly. I should have specified that I anticipated some of your reactions during our last conversations, as the fact that you got a little one you need to take care of. You don't want anything hurting them, right? But nevertheless, I want to thank you because you helped some very productive conversations take place. And even in that insanity, a new streaming service is coming together. So again, thank you. And the offers I presented to you before still stand, if you accept them, as they offer everybody else who wants help publishing a book, music. Maybe you want your own online TV channel. And once things are ready for Bonkers TV Plus, we'll start letting people in on that as well. Not for any particular reason. I just want to make sure shit's fucking working before we launch it off, Anyway, much love. Stay safe. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, Chris and I decided to take a break from Bald and Bonkers show this weekend. We will be back next weekend. If by any chance any of you know any locals from Lana High that are willing to talk about what's been going on down there, we do want to do some sort of show that talks more in depth about that situation. But we don't want, just some crazy nutters talking online. We want people who are actually there. It's going to speak volumes when the eyewitnesses start telling about what's actually been going on. And you may not necessarily want the attention, but having the guts to actually tell your story makes you so much more powerful than you realize. Because let's face it, the abusers, the enemies, the oppressors, the one thing they fear the most is when the truth comes.